Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome once again to the mess hall here at Dr. Jet Laboratories, where I'm going to subject you to yet another unrehearsed, unscripted, unedited, unwarranted, unworthy video just for your amusement. Anyway, maybe your education as well. In front of me is this little fiberglass hull that I think came from Toucan Hobbies. They're over there in Asia. And it's a cool little boat. And, I was originally thinking about putting this TP motor in it. But this is a pretty nice motor. And this is just an average boat. So I got to thinking, well, what could I do? And, I'm just finishing up that micro drifter. The paint's still hardening up a little bit. I'm finishing up that micro drifter twin. And I was thinking, twins are fun. And so I started rummaging through all the stuff I had. And I stumbled across some of these little Surmark 2030 motors. Now, what's the unique thing about these? These have a real low kV. These little 2030 motors don't have a whole lot of torque, and I don't have a whole lot of propeller options. So I need a motor that'll turn an X430 because I can get that prop in left and right hand rotation from both Octura and in this cheap CNC props. So that's my plan, is to run these vented, it has a nice little cooling jacket on it, low key KV motors, and a modest prop, and not go for insane speeds, but just like holy cow speeds, because these little tiny boats, it's so easy to overpower them, and when they get too overpowered, they're no longer fun. So I want to power this up in the fun layer. So my idea is to keep the weight low. I'm going to put the motors down low. I'll put the speed controls, little 20 amp reversible speed controls. I'll put reverse on it, and I'll use airsoft batteries down in the sponsons. It'll probably be a 2S boat, and there's only one problem with this setup, and you're probably looking at it right now and wondering, well, how in the hell are you going to do that? And here's the problem. Look at the little tiny screws that are on this motor. Now, this motor, I've made mounts for other applications, and it was a pain in the ass because all these 2030 motors have a different end bell. This particular one has this boss, and how in the hell am I going to get at the motor mounting screws if I put the motors that far back? If I start moving the motors up, then it starts getting the weight too far forward. I get the weight spread out. I want the weight concentrated over the CG. So how am I going to get the motors mounted here where I can just get at the shaft? How am I going to get the motors mounted here and still be able to mount them? Well, I'll tell you what, I have found the answer. On the American Spirit, and oh God, what else did I put it in? Oh, I put it in the Silver Bullet. I used those motor mounts that had one wing that held a metal clamp that went around the ring of the motor, so it clamped this way around the motor and was held in by a piece of aluminum. Well, guess what I found, boys and girls? These clamps are for drones, but if you notice, they just happen to fit a 2030 motor. So what you do is on this side, you bolt on some composite material and you epoxy that into the hull, and then this part becomes removable and you pull that off. You don't even pull it off. You just back off the screws a couple of turns and the motor slides right out. There you go. That's how I'm going to mount these motors. I'll make some little feet for that. I'll epoxy the feet in, and there you go. I can have it to where I can just barely reach the coupler, and that's how far back I can get these motors. What do you guys think of that? Now, if you're going to run a TP motor is slightly larger by 0.5 millimeter. Fear not, though. You can buy reamers in 0.1 millimeter increments starting at this diameter. So if you want to go 0.4 millimeters larger in diameter, you can buy a reamer, and you just bolt this thing together, put a reamer in there, a couple of quick passes, and it will fit TP and slightly larger motors. So there you go. I am going to use these. These are for holding the arms on drones. They're the drone guys. So thanks, drone guys. I'm going to use your arm holders for motor mounts for these little motors. Oh, one other thing I discovered. And now I have a pair of these purple ones. I don't know if I'll use them because purple kind of clashes with the gray. I don't know. But they'll fit on here. It gets a little tight in this corner. I may just cut this inside tab off and just have a single tab holding that on, because really on this size boat, how much load is really on there? Or I may use just a turn fin bracket, which is just a 90-degree angle. I use a turn fin bracket to hold that. But I'm thinking I could get away with those for struts and have a little bit of adjustability. So there you go. This cheap little, well, it wasn't that cheap. This little hull, tiny little hull. So it's going to get fitted with twin motors and drone boom motor mounts. Until next time, boys and girls, jet out.